Hello, hello again, and welcome to another Howlin TV show. This is our second, so we're doing all right at the moment, and we got some great feedback from the last show. So, thank you to everyone who joined us and had a really good laugh there. I can't tell you how incredibly privileged I am of the guests I've got today. All three of these guys I know personally, and all three of these guys I have performed with on stage, and I'm so excited to announce them to you. So, tell you what I'm going to do first of all. First of all, I'm going to say to you, thank you to everyone who's been supporting the show, and the feedback's been incredible. We've had so many people giving us ideas and suggestions on how we can even make this better for the future. And let's face it, we're staying. We're going to carry on doing this. If you want it, we're going to still produce it. So that's it for that. I hope you guys have had a great week. I know we're still in lockdown, but the truth of the matter remains, we're safe. And we're looking after each other. So can we argue about that? Tell me, can we argue about that? I don't know. So as far as I'm concerned, I've had a bit of a week, bit of a week, if I have to be honest with you. My wife actually ended up in hospital, God bless her. So she had a surgery today, and she's much better. So positive thinking, which will be on Friday. So that's going well as well. But now, in the meantime, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get my three celebrities onto the show. My first celebrity, I have to tell you, probably had the wrath of what coronavirus can do to you. This guy was meant to be on a ship for 2 weeks and ended up being on a ship, I think, for nearly 5, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6. He'll tell you what it is. The fantastic Mr. Mark Williams. Check it out. Cause I can read your body language. I can see your body language. Yeah, I'm all about your body language. Yeah, I'm all about your body. Yeah, I'm all about your body. Yeah, I'm all about your body. Sorry, was that you trying to look really sexy at the end, going, what was that?
It's the thing I had to do for Sky Sports. I was in a studio, little broom cupboard studio, for 5 hours, just trying to do little moody looks for Super Sunday years ago for Man United Leicester. But never mind. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm all right, my brother. I'm all right. How are you keeping? How's it all going? You're looking really Tarzan-y. But you look good. You look better than me. You look good. You look absolutely fantastic. How's it been going, bruv?
When you say Tarzan, you mean I've been swinging from the rafters? You know. What's the point in shaving? I only dress every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock to clap the nurses, and I come back in again.
Brilliant.
I was on that ship, for 5 weeks. So. I have only done, so I got back the 13th of April. So I went into lockdown, so that's a month ago today. So right. I've done 4 weeks at home.
Tell the people at home who are watching right now, okay? Tell the people at home, what was it like being secluded in your cabin? Because someone had a cough, and that was it. Everyone was like, boom, go to your cabins, that's it. Were you in it for like 14 days, right?
We were supposed to be in it for 14 days. So, yeah, we got on. So I got on with my fellow performers I flew to Australia 8th of March, and we got on in Fremantle. And then about, I don't know how long it was into the cruise. A lot of people had done their shows. I reckon it was a good week into the cruise. Someone had asthma, had a really bad cough.
Right.
So obviously, if you've got any symptoms, you've got to self-isolate.
Yeah, of course.
He was given a pad and pen. Write down everyone that you've had breakfast with, dinner with, you've hung out with, you've been to the theatre with. And he wrote a whole list down of about 15, 16 people, including me. That's
nice, isn't it?
Yeah, we all got banged up in our rooms we were told 14 days coronavirus lockdown. The luckiest thing that happened to us was we were anchored off of Durban, and we were there. We were there for 5 days, anchored up. But they could allow a helicopter on with a doctor, and the doctor swabbed 13, 14 people to make sure, have you got the coronavirus? The results took about 2 days.
Right.
We got the results, and we were let out of our cabins after 7 days, only because of that doctor came on board. So if the doctor hadn't have flown on and we're at sea, we would have stayed in our rooms for 14 days. And I've got to say, when I got out of my room and I literally walked down the corridor to go to the lifts, my calves and my hamstrings just went like this, because I'd been in bed for 7 days in a cabin. I hadn't moved in a cabin for 7, but then I was away for 5 weeks, so I had 4 great weeks and 1 week in a cabin.
and what was I was going to say, what was the kind of the environment like on the ship? I mean, obviously, you know, everyone's now in lockdown. What was it like there?
The minute we had the helicopter come on board, and then we were told this is a coronavirus-free ship, we were in the safest place in the world, because we knew back at home Boris had it, Prince Charles had it. You've all been locked in your houses for maybe 2 weeks at that stage.
Yeah.
And we're on a ship where we're playing football, cricket, basketball every day, swimming, theatre, restaurant, pubs, bars, comedy clubs, my act, everyone else's act, comedians and acts and all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah.
The minute we got home, we knew the last day, we knew we were going to just go home and be locked up, you know, and to self. Wow. So everyone on that cruise loved it. You know, they all loved it, and there was a great atmosphere. And you know, money-wise, I think a lot of them got a very good compensation. The people that paid for their holiday, so they're all happy. They can rebook a cruise for next year for like next to nothing, because we didn't stop anywhere. I think it's a world record cruise, 33 days at sea, didn't stop once anywhere.
Oh my Lord, are you kidding me?
I think it's a world record of a cruise, because we went from Australia to Southampton without stopping. So no one's done that before.
Wait a minute. What about? Because I mean, I've done tons and tons of cruises, but surely you must have run out of food at some point.
No, because we anchored up off of Durban and got fuel and got food. It took about 12 hours to refuel the ship. It's massive, and then we stopped at Tenerife and refueled and got food and drink on again, and stores and medicines and all that sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
So we kept anchoring, and boats were coming out to us to give us things, but we never stopped anywhere to get off. So we are officially the longest cruise. And I was last on stage with all the other performers and the dancers and everyone like that, and the singers and everyone, on the 11th of April. Yeah, 11th of April was our last show. So as a performer, I think that we probably are as also the last people to do a variety show in a theatre in the world.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You would have been, because most of the theatres were locked down by March.
Yeah, I heard the ship was at sea as well for about 31 days. But I found out through the grapevine their last show in the theatre was the 10th of April. And we were the 11th of April. So I still think we probably were the last working performers.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, Mark, you know, you've been in lockdown and whatever. How's it been kind of thinking about what you've got to do? Because, I mean, obviously everyone's in a bit of a dilemma. They're going round in circles going, right, okay, when does it open? Don't know. So what am I going to do? Don't know. When am I going to earn money? Don't know. When is the next gig coming in? Who's going to book me? Don't know. So it's that kind of, I suppose the unknown is so difficult right now. So whilst that's happening, what are you doing to kind of keep yourself as sane as possible?
Well, every finger and every pie that I've got work-wise is all in events and entertainment and sport. There are three things that they're all shut.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. So, but also, I officially last worked 1 month ago. So for me, this isn't, I haven't been at home 2 months or more, and I've only been home a month, right? So hasn't really kicked in. But all I can say is that we did do things on the ship like social distancing. We had to. We had to abide by UK rules.
Of course you would. Yeah, definitely.
So we're possibly the only people that have experienced a pub, a theatre, a restaurant with social distancing, right? So that happened on the cruise ship for a good 2 weeks. And all I can say is we did our bit, but we knew we're a virus-free ship. So we know we're not just, you know, if we're not 2 meters away, we're okay because we haven't got coronavirus yet. But I've got to say, it doesn't work. You can't open any public place, entertainment-wise, with a 2-meter rule. You just can't do it. So the only rule that needs to be abolished for everything to come back to normal, football stadiums, concerts, comedy clubs, restaurants, everything, is the 2-meter rule. So hopefully, we won't have a vaccine anytime soon, but hopefully, let's just say by August, the sensible thing to do, I know it sounds really weird, but you've got to abolish that 2-meter rule. You've got to stay alert and and maybe wear a mask or whatever you do. But that 2-meter rule is stopping everything. Because imagine if you have to sell a theatre out with social distancing, and you sell 2 seats, leave 2 seats, sell 2 seats, leave.
That's what they were talking about, weren't they?
But then you've got to leave the row in front empty because you're going to have someone's back of their head in your face and people behind you. So imagine a theatre that holds 1,000 people has now got 400 seats sold, right? What happens to the person in seat 16 that comes down the aisle and wants to get in with their popcorn and their drink and they're late? They've got to walk past, right? What happens when you want to go to the toilet? What happens when the show's finished? What happens at the interval? What happens when you all want to leave the theatre? 400 people have got to leave the theatre. What happens when you go into a lift? How can you get into a lift with a 2-meter rule? How can you? There's so many things, like the bars on the cruise ships. They took all the seats away, all the bar stools away. You can't go to the bar, right? You can't go to a bar, put your hands on a bar, order a drink. You have to go and sit down and get a waiter, right?
Right.
So on a cruise ship, you've got waiters, great, but every bar and pub that you know of that are going to have skeleton staff, probably, you haven't got waiters. People will walk in, go to the bar. You know, you got to ban cash because you can't touch cash.
No, that's right.
There's all these things.
You just nailed it on the head, by the way, with that. I think one of the biggest things that's going to change on this planet is money.
Yeah, because the government, even back to Gordon Brown, he was trying to abolish cash payments. Gordon Brown didn't want anyone going anywhere and spending a £20 note. And that was a long, long time ago. And I think this coronavirus will be, because the dirtiest thing in the world in public circulation is money.
Totally.
Yeah. So
look what John Ryan's just written on our board there. He's just telling me, I said, evening, fellas. And I'm so glad John Ryan's on, by the way, watching. He's one of the funniest blokes in his village. And he says there will be no social gatherings of more than 50 people this year. Yeah, well, there you go. You see. So how do we then get around that with comedy clubs?
Hello, John. He's a good mate.
He's a good mate. He's a great mate, and he's got his own show, by the way. I'm going to do a plug for him now. He's got a show that happens at least 2 or 3 times a week at 8 p.m. and it's one of the best talk shows. He just talks about mental health, about how kids get involved, how kids get affected, you know, from everything they're watching and doing and whatnot, you know, and how it's going to move forward. And he talks to a lot of people. He's a great guy. I'll be honest with you, hands up. He comes in without me even asking him. And he pops in and he goes, right, let's sit down. You're working too hard. Let's talk. And he's a great lad. Great lad.
A bit of a loner, but yeah.
So what's the future for Mark Williams then? What we're talking? What are you doing? What are you writing? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, like I say, as what John said there as well, I don't see any entertainment coming back this year. I really don't. Yeah, we can have things with 50 people in the back of a pub, and we can do, I don't know, we can do a little comedy night with 50 people or something like that. But everything that me and you know, everything from cruises to theatres to tours to concerts. I've got tickets for so many good concerts this year, really good seats for loads of my favourite bands. I can't go to any of those. Festivals are all off. Wimbledon, Monaco Grand Prix,
they're all gone. I even tried to find out if I could do comedy nights, produce comedy nights through Howlin, you know, that are Howlin comedy clubs, you know. And I was going to produce some comedy nights with just 50 people. And I thought that would be doable. But then look at the costs to have a comic to come down and do the show and this and that, whatever. How does it work? So we've narrowed it down to a possible concept that might work, which we're going to try sometime probably in August or September, and just see if it works. And if it works, then at least people are still getting entertainment, still social distancing. But if you can't do more than 50 people, you're not going to make money. It's literally about just ticking it over and giving some kind of platform to comics to work, you know.
Yeah. And I get people up on stage, you know. So, you know, my show, 12 people come up on stage. So I can't do that anymore, really, with the rules.
Yeah.
I think for Howling, and I know what all the jobs we all do with Howling, I think the first thing that will come back will be charity events, and I'm sure you'll be behind a lot of those.
We definitely will be. We've already liaised with a number of them. But Mark, I'll be honest with you, again, with charity events, a lot of them look after children with cancer, dementia, Action for Kids, which is one we did recently, where we released a video of 100 singers, that we had online recently. That one was for Care Workers Charity, that one. Yeah. And so many different ones. There was a guy called Nick who produced that with me, a really nice guy, singer, great singer. And you're kind of thinking, all right, we're going to help charities. But actually, some of the biggest charities I was doing this year, not only producing, but also performing in, have all cancelled. And they're going, yeah, we still need to do charity. So how do we get around it? So we're going, well, let's produce a show online like we're doing now, like, a great kind of concept show. And we'll get the likes of, for example, John Ryan as the MC, Mark Williams as a special act, Kev Orkian as a special act, and we get Graham Cole to kind of do a celebrity, ending to it. And then we get Steve Hewlett to add in some, some comedy with the ventriloquism. All right, well, how much is that going to cost me?
I know.
Well, it's an online show, so we're not going to be charging you the same cost as we would doing a variety corporate show for you. But this is what it costs. So then it's your responsibility. Go and pay for it. Go and get people to pay for it. Get loads of your database to come online. We'll do the show, and then we'll all walk away with 50 or 60 quid in our pocket, and then you'll earn hopefully £1.5 grand or whatever from the charity. That's literally how it's going to work, I think. Yeah,
but you see, the thing is, I'm a massive boxing fan. You can tell up there. There's a pay-per-view fight there, Joshua Klitschko. Pay-per-view is big on boxing. 25 quid for a fight, but pay-per-view, you can only have 4 of those a year, right? You can have 1 in each quarter. A boxing fan won't pay £25 every Saturday night to watch a boxing fight in his front room. It happens once every 4 months, right?
Right.
So if you're going to do a charity night, let's say, and charge, I don't know, something decent, 15 quid, 20 quid to watch, that you're not going to get that. I'm sorry, you're not going to get someone sitting at home, eating their TV dinner, let's say your favorite act in the world. Let's say you love Michael Bublé, right? And Michael Bublé does a pay-per-view YouTube special where you log into YouTube and you pay 20 quid to watch a Michael Bublé concert on YouTube. You wouldn't pay 20 quid to watch a Bublé concert.
No, and with comedy, it's the same thing again. Intimacy, you want to be in a comedy club. Actually, John Ryan's just said that. There you go. Look, he won't work online as enjoyment taps into an invisible field of emotion. He's absolutely right. You want that intimacy. Someone watching it in the front room will not connect with a screen being watched by someone in there, in the loft. Yeah, he's absolutely right. And I think that this is the problem. People want to work. They want to do something, but how are they going to get around it? So it's quite difficult, Mark. Well, listen, please stay on, because we've got 2 more guests that we've got to introduce. But you've been an absolute star, mate. Stay on, because we've got some more quizzes and things to do with you later.
In a bit.
All right, will do, boss. So now I'd like to introduce my second guest. I mentioned him just now on the conversation with Mark. He's an absolute legend. He's actually one of my closest friends. He's the reason. Actually, him and another gentleman that I got into the Grand Order of the Water Rats. He's an absolute star. I've done quite a few shows with this man, and he's a legend in my eyes. And just take a look at who I'm talking about now. Oh, wow, wow. Right, okay, look, I know you had done quite a lot, but that's just insane, Graham.
I've got to say, that brought back some memories. Your Nick's been busy, hasn't he?
Yeah. Our producer, Nick, our producer, who makes this show look the way it does right now. He's
That's funny, I remembered his name. I said it about 1,000 times. Preceded by your
absolute star, he is. So, Graham, how you been, pal?
Really good, thanks, mate. Really, really good. I mean, lockdown is hell for lots of people. But strange enough, I mean, listening to lovely Mark there, we're kind of used to lockdown, aren't we? We spent half our life in lockdown. I'm waiting for you to ring me and tell me you got me a job.
Which will be ages.
And you know, when the call comes, you get the script. You've got to lock yourself away to do the script. So I think, in some ways, we're probably in a better place than very, very many. And as you know, I do quite a lot of charity work and post-traumatic stress 999. Now, Blue Lighters. We're going to be really, really busy when this is over. Those poor souls are going through hell and backwards. It's really tough.
I totally agree. I totally agree, Graham. Before we carry on, by the way, pal, I did mention that you and I are both water rats. We do have another water rat coming on in a minute. But in the meantime, our brother rat, Sean Rollo Rollison, your emblems. So I just want to say, mine's next to me right here.
I spent most of the afternoon trying to get my emblem to stay somewhere so people could see it on this shirt. It's something I complained. When I was King Rat, I tried to change it so that we got something slightly different. I have a ring, as you know, but everyone complains about that. But I have a water rat ring because you can wear that so much easier. And I was trying to stick it on this shirt. I might just open the shirt just for those at home. I was trying to stick it on this. You've had a sensible conversation with Mark. I'm going to bring it right down to reality, mate. And you can't, you know, there's nowhere to stick it. And if you've got, you know, you wear a lot of silk, I know. And if you put it in a silk,
no, I don't.
that ruins the fabric forever. So it's really quite a difficult thing to wear. And maybe, you know, people might ask us later on what's water rats. So that'd be something interesting.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because obviously there's another a fellow water rat coming on shortly as well to have a chit chat with us. But Graham, with the lockdown, obviously as you heard just now, Mark Williams and how he was affected by it and what he's been doing. With you've done a lot of TV, Graham, and you've been. I mean, you were a massive, massive star. You still are, in my eyes. I think you're one of the biggest legends in the world. But with what you've done, how is it kind of, you know, how do you think it's going to affect particularly performers like yourself, actors, proper actors like yourself? How is it going to affect them in the future? Because obviously, my personal opinion would be that I think we're running out of content now. BBC One, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, they're running out of content. They're going to do some reruns. I'm wondering if they've already done it. If they haven't, are they rerunning The Bill again?
Yeah, UK TV Play has just started on the 1st of May.
Okay.
Series 1 going through. Well, we hopefully going through the whole of the series again. So I'm getting lots of Facebook messages from people who are watching storylines again. What did you think about when you think, hold on, man, we're going 35 years back in time in my head, you know, I joined The Bill in 1984. And for an intelligent audience, that to me proves that Orwell was right. So I shall leave that with the thinking members of the audience. Those that don't know anything about, you'll have to email me later. But I think my industry, wow, when, how, I mean, it's intimate. You know, you've got 40 crew around you. No one knows. I know EastEnders, Coronation Street, they're trying to go back. But then again, you know, you can't kiss anyone. Technically, you can't touch anybody. It's going to be really, really difficult. And a bit like you, if I may just sort of say from our camp, I had lots of speaking engagements. And all they did was they just postponed them. They didn't cancel them. So we don't even get part of the fee.
No, that's right. It was
next year. Yeah, next year it's going to be. All the young kids that I've been talking to Equity about, all the young kids that are in the West End shows that got digs and all that sort of stuff are in turmoil. And may I just say, if you don't know, I mean, you, Robert, the audience I was talking to there, HMRC don't even recognise us as a profession.
Really?
If you go seriously, if you go online, you can't, like I'm sort of trying to recoup some of the money and all that sort of stuff back in lost earnings. We don't even have a category. They want us, they're really trying to change our status altogether, and Equity are fighting merry hell to try and keep the status there. You know, because we're all self-employed technically. So it's a really difficult time for performers, because most of us can't even claim anything because we don't exist. And I sent a message off to the hierarchy. It doesn't matter what government is in power, they're all treated exactly the same. And I just said to them at the bottom of my little email, citing a little bit what we've just discussed, when you politicians and civil servants, when they finish work, what do you do to relax? You go to my profession, and yet you don't even recognize us.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It is one rule for one and one rule for another. It really is. And that's actually one of the saddest things that I've seen recently, particularly with this lockdown, because, you know, don't get me wrong, I think my village, particularly Nazing in Essex, my village has been amazing. You know, we've had a few issues, don't get me wrong, like everywhere you have issues, but our village has been one of the most quickest lockdowns and kind of self-isolations, and people are getting on with each other, and, you know, social distancing, and, you know, if you see someone's coming towards you with a dog, you cross the road and this and that.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
And everyone's shouting, are you all right, as they pass?
Correct. And people kind of verbally saying, you know, good morning and this and that, whatever. And actually, I'll be honest with you, right? Personally, I have absolutely loved, right? Because I get up every morning at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I get up in the morning, you know, get the old green tea on into the flask, grab my dog Poppy, and we go out and we do a half an hour walk in the mornings. And all I hear is birds chirping away, and, you know, the wind going through the trees. And I love it because there's no cars driving. There's no one really around. And in the last 3 days, that is all gone again.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? I'm on Facebook quite a lot, and I sort of Facebook to say that I know what the government are trying to do, but I think you kind of got to legislate for the lowest common denominator, which is very difficult if you're looking after 66 million people to try and get them to. And you're absolutely right; it's gone nuts. I mean, one of the things, Kev, I really, really want to come out of this is that this is the end of the me society, because we realise now in this pandemic we really, really need each other. And I hope that kind of goes. And again, you know, I do like throwing psychological hand grenades in, as you well know.
Go.
And maybe with a bit of luck in our profession, you know, that celebrity nonsense might sort of diminish a little bit. You're saying about us, you know, going out there and making films, making television programs. It's really tough for the producers because they've got so much garbage that's around that is so cheap to make that you either have to have, as you well know with Howlin, you either have to have BBC or ITV or kind of forget it, you know. And there's so much good work out there, so much writing going on. I'm getting phone calls all the time about new projects, you know. One yesterday, which we hope is going to happen. You know, it'd be really exciting if it does.
Do you know what? I think not only are you right there, but I also think, and John Ryan's on, and you know, John does his show on you know, online and whatever.
He's never asked me, Kev.
He will. Don't worry. You just have to log into his show, John Ryan. Go to his page, John Ryan. Go to his page and see what he does. He's brilliant. And you know what? I'm kind of getting I suppose, the idea in my head that this kind of content every week, you know, online, means not only are you hitting, hopefully, or building an audience, which, you know, every week we've been building and building and building. We've got so many new people, by the way, just to say a big hello to, I think these are some of your fans, like Glenn Quidgley, Cherry Hitchens, Fiona Lynn Curtis is there, you know, Laura Jane.
Cheaton's been on there a couple of times. Glenn Quidgley actually runs Stampers. And that's the Tony Stamp, if I could say his name, it would help. It was the Tony Stamp Appreciation Society, and
there you
thousands of that. And Glenn, bless you, Glenn, hi mate, over in Ireland, he runs that for me. He's amazing. He finds clips and stuff, and it's fantastic. I just love the Facebook stuff. It's brilliant.
But there you go. You see, I think people are getting more excited about online content like we're doing, or we're trying to do now, and you know, and some other people are trying to do now.
If I may just say, what I think you and Nick are doing, which most don't, because I've done quite a lot of good mornings and that sort of stuff over the last few weeks about the bill coming back on, is you don't actually allow the audience to talk to us. And I think this is fantastic. They can come up and we can, if our eyes are flicking in odd directions, you listeners and watchers, it's because we're reading your comments, which are on the screen beside us.
Absolutely.
Very few chat shows allow the audience to actually interact with us, and I think that's really important.
Well, I think that's important because actually we wouldn't have a show if all these wonderful people that are live commenting right now didn't watch. So the fact that we're producing content or trying to do that, and this is something that we're looking into more now for the future, because even if lockdown is lifted and we all forget about the past and we all go back to, you know, cuddling and kissing, which is something I do with everyone, as you know.
Absolutely.
I don't care who you are.
I've still got it on my neck. I can't get rid of it.
I told you not to talk about that.
Oh,
but the thing is, with all that going on, now I want to ask you a question that came up earlier. Actually, one of our followers has just, or one of our viewers, sorry, has just commented. Do you think pantomime is going to go ahead this year?
Do you know, I was talking to some theatre managers about it just this morning. If it doesn't, theatres are in serious trouble because, as you know, that's a massive proportion of their income for what is to follow in the following year. For us entertainers, it'll be an utter disaster. You and I, you know, I don't know, I'm 36 or something now, pantos that I've done, and that sustains me through until sort of, you know, April, May time.
Absolutely.
When we start doing, you know, and you and Mark, you know, the cruises or the after dinner speaking and all that sort of stuff, and it's how I mean, Mark.
I know it's crazy, isn't it?
The fact with the kids, you know, 12 days of Christmas, you know, that we do frenetic kicking balls and throwing toilet rolls might be quite apt, but throwing balls and toilet rolls and squirting people with water, you know, how can you do any of that stuff? It's going to be so hard. And I think, again, because so many people over the years, our industry has sort of declined in the sense of stars. Producers don't really like stars. It was the more well-known we become, the more money we ask for. So they're kind of that's been gone. You know, when people say, what about Morecambe and Wise? Where are they? Well, where are the comics? You know, the comics are there. We know they're there. You know they're there. You employ them probably more than most. Do you see them on television? No. Because everything on TV now, I'll probably never get another job. All those 3 jobs that are coming up behind me are probably being cancelled regularly. But the problem is it's all done by committee. It's all done by committee, you know, and whereas, you know, a lot of the stuff I did with Kenny Everett and all those guys, you know, it was one producer, one director, you got out there and you did it. As you know, there's some stuff on Facebook that I've done, and people go, oh, that's fantastic. How long did it take? Well, there's one song where I did the 12 days of Christmas, where I turned into the 12 days of lockdown. If you're interested, ladies and gentlemen, I'll end up in my pants. That might be a reason to not.
That's a great idea. 12 days of lockdown. Do you know what, Graham? We should do that, right? The 12 days of lockdown as an online thing.
Just too late, mate. I did it with 12.5 people following.
Listen.
And the comments were, how many takes was that? I said, no, that's the one and only take.
The one and only
take. And well, you know me, because the thing is, I think the more you rehearse it, the less spontaneous it looks. And I can tell you why, because my daughter was videoing it, you know, it was taking me on the phone while I was doing it. And when I did you got to squirt, bring the white ring. When I squirted, I covered her, and you see the foam goes up in the air and comes back down again.
Brilliant.
But it's on there somewhere. Have a look. And then I did the, and there were bells on a hill, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all since there was lockdown. That's on there somewhere as well.
Well, listen, we've just got to answer one gentleman first, and then I'm going to take a quick question. But Mike Martin said, where's your emblems? There it is, Mike.
Yeah, it is, yeah. To stop.
All right, Mike.
Who is that? Mike,
there it is. My jacket.
Martin, get a life, boy, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but also Maggie Regan.
Yeah.
Maggie Regan's asking a question there. She's put, do you ever see Reg, your TV partner, in the bill?
Yes. Those of us that were sort of in the show quite a lot, I mean, you know, we were together 20 odd years.
Yeah, you would have.
The majority, Mark Wingett, Trudy Goodwin, Eric Richard, Jess Stewart. And yeah, we do. We meet up. We do. And I think there should be more of them. I know you've tried to put a few together where we go on stage and have a chat, Misty Moon gigs. And we have a chat with the audience and we meet them afterwards and sign books and photos.
Brilliant.
And stuff. But yeah, and we all talk to each other. Trudy Goodwin and her husband Kit both had the virus and were both really quite ill. Fortunately, they weren't hospitalised, but bless them. And she just messaged me at one point and just said, you know, I'm really depressed and this is really, really getting me down. I said, Trudy, to cheer you up, remember our first kiss after working together after 18 and a half years, our first romantic kiss. I saw her at 7:30 in the morning in the studio. We're going to go off and do different episodes and then meet up later at 7 o'clock that evening. And as I went past her, she kind of went, oh, God, in the mirror. And I just came around and gave her the sloppiest, horriblest kiss I could imagine. I said, I promise you it'll be better tonight. When we get out to Surrey, where we're going to shoot this one romantic scene that the audience have been built up to do, absolute romantic scenes been going on and on and on and on and on. Where do they shoot it? Outside, underneath the gents' window toilet is where we shot that romantic scene. It was just like,
there you go.
When you see, before Trudy gave me her line, she said, oh, poo. Oh, nice.
Well, Graham, we're going to go on to our third guest, but please don't, because we're going to join you in a minute. But I want to introduce our third guest of the evening. Now, this guy is another guy that I have performed with on many, many occasions. He is absolutely fantastic. He was also, let's call him a fellow BGT performer. He's also a Grand Order of the Water Rats member, and I've got the privilege of welcoming one of my best mates, Mr. Steve Hewlett. Check this out.
Hey, I've been a ventriloquist, right, since I was 12. I've been doing this for 6 years, right? And I love doing what I do. Ventriloquist, that's what I do. I love passing my time, right? I got into Houston City this afternoon. I stood in the post office, right, for a couple of hours just doing this. Cash in under 8, please. Cash in under 6. And I've done it for hours. I chose the windows that were closed. It kicked off then. Loved it. We're going to dedicate a little song for the ladies. I know. Yeah, so have a little look at loads of lovely ladies in here tonight. Okay. One down there. Hello, sweetheart. How are you? Ask her out. Oi, get out. No. Oh. You've got to be romantic, do I? Yes, you do, Arthur. Hello, sweetheart. Are you single or are you married? No, that's cheeky. In other words, are you looking or are you cooking? Ladies and gentlemen, take care. Good night. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely fantastic. What's he doing? What's he doing now? Oh, he's got the emblem. He's got the emblem.
Hey, how you doing?
You know what? You're a cheat. You're a cheat.
I know. I've been watching. It's nice, but it's been there the whole time. It's been there the whole time. So that's that out of the way. I've got my emblem. So how are you doing? Hi, Kev.
I'm doing great. How are you doing, pal? Looking a bit.
I've enjoyed watching the show. It's been brilliant. Love Graham Cole. Love Graham. So I don't know Mark yet. It was interesting what Mark was saying about the social distancing on the cruise ships and things.
Yeah, go on.
Every time I do a theatre tour, they've always done that. They always sit like two people, and there's 100 seats, 2 people, 100 seats. You know what I mean? So I can still tour. That's all I'm saying. So,
how are you keeping during this lockdown? What have you been up to?
Well, I've learned to like my kids again. That's wow. Homeschooling is. Nina, she takes control of things, you know. But yeah, you know, don't you? It's difficult. She's got 3 kids basically, which is me and our 2 daughters. And Nina, I couldn't do this without Nina. She keeps me sane, and I'm trying to keep her sane by doing lots of. I mean, when she's doing the homeschooling, I have to ask them to keep the noise down because I can't hear the PlayStation. So, you know, that's it. So, but I've been keeping busy, mate. I'm really keeping busy.
Oh,
what you have to do.
Yeah, you just told me you've been writing a book. I want everyone to know what's this all about. Tell us.
It's called Ventriloquist. Now, I started writing this properly. Started writing it about 12 years ago, and it's been a quest because since I started in 1987, from Jimmy Tamley up until today, you know, I was writing today. I'm speaking to a ventriloquist tomorrow called Paul Event. Great ventriloquist, and I've interviewed vents all over the world. All the America's Got Talent winners. Paul Zerdin, Terry Fater, Darcy Lynn, great ventriloquists. And I've interviewed families of ventriloquists, like the ones we lost, I never got to meet, like Arthur Worsley, Neville King. And all of these all compiled, all these interviews are in the book, but it's also about my experience growing up in the business as a ventriloquist and all the links, you know, from all over the world. And I'm involved in songs about ventriloquism and projects that I've done really over the years, all to do with ventriloquism. The book has been the biggest thing I've ever been involved with, and no one else really knows about it apart from no one's seen what I've written. And I love what I've been doing for the last 12 years. It's been like a little passion, you know, in the little just my little holy grail, and I can't wait to release it. It's going to be hopefully released next year. So yeah,
Amazing.
fab. It's fab. It's really, really nice to get lots of people's stories about, you know, the stories behind the scenes of like Neville King on stage and in the dressing room, and Albert Savine. Loads of brother rats have given me loads of stories as well. So it's something I really enjoy doing. I've loved it.
Oh, bless you, pal. And you know what? Things like that are so unique because, you know, ventriloquism, I mean, give me your heads up on this. Ventriloquism, is it still as popular as it was, say, 20, 30 years ago when we used to watch, you know, the likes of, what's the green duck called again?
Keith Harris, the dear Keith. Yeah.
Duck, was he, to be fair?
Orville, sorry. Yeah, Orville was the duck. And so yes, it's bigger now. You've got Nina Conti, Paul Zerdin, Ron Lucas was the one that really sort of impressed me. And Ron Lucas has written the foreword to my book, which means a lot. It's
Wow.
massive now. Jeff Dunham is a multi-millionaire, over 100 million. That's his thing, you know. I don't deal with money, I don't do money, so not at the moment anyway. But ventriloquism is huge now, and I'll tell you that this is one of the things that made it big again. Nina Conti, Paul Zerdin, the ventriloquism.
Right.
Yeah. But we're not going to be able to do these again.
I thought Simon didn't really like it though, did he?
Simon didn't like wearing it. It was funny until he put it on his face. Yeah. Jimmy Tamney's one of the most busiest not at the moment, but one of the greatest ventriloquists out there. And he always reinvented himself. And I love Jim for everything that he's done for me as well. But this vent mask, you're not going to be able to actually put these on members of the audience because unless they self-cleanse, you know. I actually went shopping in this a couple of weeks ago because it is actually a mask. And I said, hi, do you have any milk? So, yeah, they didn't laugh either. But they looked at me a bit weird. I actually wore that shopping.
Where's Chi-Chi?
Chi-Chi's there. That's actually Chi-Chi there. Chi-Chi's resting, right? Like all my characters are resting. Right. And, you know, you were talking about doing concerts. No one will pay to actually see concerts online. Me and my wife had a date night on Saturday. We sat down and we watched the Canadian Stephen Page from Bare Naked Ladies, right? It's not a strip show. Bare Naked Ladies is one of the chickadee China, the Chinese chicken, you know. And Stephen Page, who isn't with the band no more, he'd done his own thing. The last 5 Saturday nights, he's been doing a concert, and he'd done an hour and 45 minutes. And all he charges is $8, which is per household, per screen. So me and my wife sat on the couch and watched him live in his studio in Canada, and we paid that £5, $8, because it was entertainment that it was only 1,000 people that could watch it. You know, if it's someone that you love to watch, like if Lee Evans done it, or if you've done something and you say, right, there's only 100 people going to watch this, it makes it more intimate. And I think it's if you know only you are getting that show, do you know what I mean? And he sold out 5 weeks in a row, 1,000 people. I
think you've nailed it, actually, because me and obviously Mark were talking about it, then I spoke about it with Graham, but I think you're right. I think, you know, if you say, for example,
£3.
Well, I was going to say, who?
If you say £3 per household, and you say we're capping it at 500, who?
What, for my show?
Well, you know, with commission. No, I'm talking about £3 per person, yeah, or £3 per household. If you've got 1,000 people that pay that,
totally,
that's what I'm talking about. So, you know, he's had a good 5 weeks, Stephen Page, and you know he's in one of the biggest bands. So that's good. I'm just saying, I think it works. I think it will work if you judge it right. You know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if we can, at Howlin here, I mean Howlin TV, of course, but Howlin Entertainment as such, if we can create a platform, we're actually looking. I mean, I know we're here now, and it's kind of got a nice backdrop here, but it's predominantly this is still the office, and we're kind of looking at maybe you know, looking at some kind of a studio. So if anyone's got one out there, by the way, particularly in the Hertfordshire area, and they've got a nice big space that they would be willing to, you know, for us to go there and maybe set up a studio in the future. That's the kind of thing we're looking at, because I think you're absolutely right. If we could bring in, say, for example, just off the cuff here, turn around and say, look, Steve, we're going to do a show with you online through Howlin Entertainment. We're going to charge the audience £3 or £4, and everyone buys online if they want to come and watch it, and you don't want to do something, and they come online, they watch your show, you do 1 hour of your stand-up with your ventriloquism and whatnot, and then, you know, they enjoy it with you. But I think the format has to be different, you see, because if the likes of me going out and doing my foreign character and saying hello, hello, thank you very much, blah, 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 and doing my act is all well and good, and it would be great with you doing your, you know, your Arthur Lager and everything, and having a comedy act with it. But
Yeah.
if you can give meaning to the reason behind you, why you're doing that show, and the fact that people are logging on to watch you,
Yeah.
maybe keeping it current with what's happened this week in you know, in the news, or what's happening in the future, and this and that, whatever, and you can somehow bring a little bit of you as well as the performance, I think people would pay for that. I think people would certainly inquire about that.
I've got as funny as you say. There's 2 months ago, I launched my brand new show called Arthur Lager Gets Real, and it's Arthur Lager on stage. I wrote a whole hour, brand new material. I launched it in a theatre in Hastings on the 11th of March. That was opening night. Closing night was on the 12th of March. We've done 2 nights, and obviously that was the last show that I'd done. But it's Arthur Lager growing up through the years, and so it starts in 1937. He's a baby in my arms, all ventriloquism, and then he's a 7-year-old. Which is this is him. My friend Peter Pullen is making him now. Actually, that's the 7-year-old Arthur Lager.
Oh wow!
So, and then he's gonna grow up, and then he's gonna be. This is him. This is him in his 20s. All right, Arthur Lager. and then you'll see him. Then you'll see him when he's in his 40s. Hello, Arthur Lager. All right. Yeah. And then you see him in his 60s, Arthur Lager, you're right, hello. and here he is now in his 80s, so Arthur Lager, hey, here I am, all right, hello. Arthur Lager in the current day. So this is the show that I actually take. Oh, thanks. This is the show that I actually launched, and I loved it. It was actually, you know this, Kevin. I've seen you do brand new shows. Where you put something brand new on the stage and it works and the audience are with you. And I could have cried really when we had to close the show, because I knew I wasn't going to do another show for a few months. But I fell in love with this show. The second night, I was nervous the first night. I need to sit down. He needs to sit down. He doesn't work much these days. But the second night, I fell in love with the show, and there was an extra 20 minutes on it as well. So I was like, oh, wow, I need to keep doing this. And then it stopped. But I'm now fine-tuning the show, you know, so when it goes back on the road and I'm actually at that venue where you work, the Museum of Comedy is probably going to be the next one in October, if it happens. There's only 50 seats, so it might happen. So, you know, so I think something like that, you know, something people have never seen me do before. And I think we had about 120 people come to see that show in March. Yeah. So it's not been seen, you know, so you need to give them something new. You need to come up with something fresh, innovative.
So, I mean, on my Kev Orkian channel, I've you know, I've been putting on the Facebook page, not the official page, but the Kev Orkian page. No, it's on the official page as well. Apologies, on this page as well. I've been doing piano concerts, you know, just like putting a track that I've done and putting it out there, and it's had over like 20,000. Well, one of them had about 20,000 hits, and you kind of go, people enjoy seeing entertainment in a different format that what they're used to us seeing.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they do.
That's important, definitely. And I think we need to look at that. Well, look, Steve, stay on, and you don't go anywhere because you need to stay on. I'm going to invite my other 2 guests back on again with us now, Mark and Graham. And as they join us, there you are.
Hey, here we are.
So
I didn't do it.
Can I just clear something? Okay, look for Mike Martin. Look there. Oh, where are we? There's the rat. Okay, and there is my king rat. Okay.
Oh.
And here's something you haven't got. That's an OBE. So shove that, Martin. Okay.
Why those?
I can't find mine. I've lost it.
I won that in '97.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Well, look,
Channel 5.
I'm going to do something quite special now. This is something we started last week, and this week we're going to do something very different. I usually do this when I do my audience withs. And the last one I ever did that with was the wonderful Mr. Nicholas Parsons. God rest his soul. I did it with him, and it was hysterical. So I'm going to do this thing where I'm going to ask each of you 3 questions, but we're going to go round in a circle. So I'm going to start with, let's start with Mark, then Graham, then Steve. So I'm going to now, what we're going to do, 1 question each, okay? We're going to go round in a circle. Okay, so Mark, you got to answer it as quick as you can, okay? And this is for the audience to hear. Let's see how quickly you can do this, guys. Here we go. Question 1. Mark, what is your favourite word?
Dewberry.
Okay, Graham,
yes, you can.
What turns you on?
Yes, you can. Oh, turns me on. I thought it was going to be asking the same question. Kev Orkian.
Okay, Steve, what sound or noise do you love?
Oh, my children. I love the sound of the children in the mornings.
Okay, okay, second question. Mark, you again. This time, what turns you off?
Brighton Football Club.
Okay, Graham, what is your least?
Graham knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Graham, what is your least favourite word?
Oh, man. No, you can't.
Okay. And Steve, what profession other than your own would you like to have attempted?
Gynecology, I think, because it's in the same line of work. I think, because it's you know what?
You got to keep it 2 metre distant. You got to keep.
Okay. And this final one is for all 3 of you.
There.
This final one's for all 3 of you. Mark, if there was such a place of heaven and it existed, and you were at the gates, the pearly gates, what would you like God to say to you as you walked in?
What took you so long?
Graham?
Give me a song.
Steve?
Nice to see you again.
Oh, okay. Right.
I've had some tough nights on stage. So.
Now, we have got something very special. I want all 3 of you to watch this now. We've got something very special. It's the spotlight moment. And every week, we're going to feature one comedian from the Howlin register, someone who we either manage or someone who we represent. And this week is a fantastic comedian. I want all of us to enjoy watching him. His name is Rudy Liquid, and this is the spotlight moment.
Oh, thank you. That was a wonderful intro. Please give her a nice round of applause. Come on, give your host a nice round of applause. Lovely to be here. Sorry, I'm running a bit late. It's just that a traffic warden got knocked down earlier on. I could have swerved, yeah, I could have swerved. But I thought, I like that. At least you're doing this straight away. I want to just get here on time. So it is good being in front of you, white guys. It really is. How you doing? How you doing? Come on, you're glowing out there. I can see you. How you doing? No, I'm not here because I'm good. I'm here so you can get a grant. That's why I'm here. Add a bit of colour to the show. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to laugh. We've got to take it a little bit further. And I see we've got the older crowd in the room. Nice to see you got here. Respect, man. A couple of days to go before we see the Lord. You know what I mean? Maybe it's time for a cruise. Let's do some cruise, old people. Let's do some cruising. Hey, before we go to Eastbourne to die, we might as well do that. I'll never forget the first cruise ship I did. Have you done a couple of cruises? I know, yeah. The first one I ever did, they put me at the bottom of the ship. Yeah, I got on the ship and they gave me oars. That's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong, Yo-hee-ho. I was getting flashbacks, I'm not going to lie. I was getting flashbacks. They put me out in the Caribbean. I didn't know, as a black person, we burn. I didn't know. My skin was peeling, it was peeling. I never felt so embarrassed in my life. I keep it real, right? Because I went to the shop, I didn't know what factor to buy. What factor do I buy? I was so embarrassed I came out with condoms and hemorrhoid cream. I thought, no. It is hard being a parent though, nowadays, isn't it? Because when you was younger, back in the day, do you know what I mean? If you was naughty, you got a slap, innit? You got a little, behave yourself. You can't slap kids no more, did you know that? You got to send them to their rooms. like it's gone quiet there, because that's rubbish, isn't it, sending them to their rooms? Yeah, that used to work back in the day when some of us got sent to our rooms, because there was nothing there. Right? We couldn't even play I Spy. Remember that? I Spy? I Spy with my little eye, something beginning with N. Nothing! That's what take great pride. Take great pride in being British. Take great pride in the fact that we have all these cultural differences that makes us such a wonderful place to be in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Imagine that you get rid of all the black people, all the Asian people in England. How are people going to get home? How are we going to get home? We're going to eat, you know what I mean? People only come to the UK because they want the best out of life. That's why they come. Who wants to go to Poland? Anyone in a rush? Who's rushing to go to Bangladesh? I don't think so. Because once you're here, that's how people come here. Once you're here, you get the best of everything. Because that's what it is to be British. It's a wonderful thing to be British and have the best of everything, eh? To drive a German car to an Irish pub, it's lovely. To drink Belgian beer while sitting on Swedish furniture, eating an Indian takeaway. Hey, while watching an American program on a Japanese DVD. Come on, it don't get no better than that. It don't get no better than that.
That was cool.
My favourite line.
I was there. He was very, very, very good. I love Rudy.
Yeah, my favourite line was, I spy with my little eye, something beginning with N. Nothing.
Classic, brilliant.
Right, so guys, we're nearly at the end of the show. Lots and lots of people have been typing away and giving us some comments there, and it's been absolutely amazing. I can't thank you enough for coming onto the show in the first place. This is our second show, so the fact that you are our second, well, basically second special guest stars that have come on has been absolutely amazing. But what I want to do is every week I want to ask our special stars to leave the audience that are watching and the audiences that will watch this week as we stream it on these pages and YouTube, our Howlin Entertainment channel on YouTube. What would you like the audience to kind of a wise word from you that they can go on with the coronavirus and with what's happening in this world? What would you say? Can we start with Mark? What would be your wise words?
I would say that the whole world is on reset. It's as if Mother Nature has sent us all to our bedrooms and said, think about what you've been doing to the world. The skies are empty of planes. As you said earlier, there's no trains, there's no cars, there's no pollution. There's places like Vegas and Bangkok and New Delhi are empty. No one's around. So the whole world's on reset. And when we come out of this, the world will be a different place every day long. And I just say, just keep going, and we're all in it together. You know, if you're a billionaire or you're a pauper, you're sat at home in lockdown. So everyone's in the same boat. And I just think that, you know, I think that take the positives out of the world at the moment. And like I say, the whole world's on reset. And when we get out, it's a chance to start afresh for a lot of people. So that's my wise words.
Graham, what about you, sir?
Think of each other. We've only got each other. And remember charities. I'm involved in a lot of them. My son works for Think CS, and they've got to look after as many charities. Think of how they're going to go ahead. American caring nurses are really suffering at the moment. So it's tough for us all. We've mentioned that earlier on. None of us have got any money, but just think of the charities. They've still got to be there. Childline, I've been with them for over 36 years. Post-traumatic stress that we've mentioned, 999. Just think of the charities, because for each and every one of us, they are there for us. And my goodness me, are we going to need them?
God bless you. And Stevie, what about you, pal? What do you reckon your wise words would be?
Firstly, I just want to talk about the reruns quickly, the reruns on TV. It's not going to affect the BBC at all. So I think it's very important to remember to pick up that phone. Phone someone you've not spoke to for a long time. Pick up the phone someone in your family, just phone a friend, and nothing to do with a millionaire, right? Phone that person you not spoke to for a while, because there's people sat at home on their own who are not hearing from people. Love each other a little bit more and stay in touch with everybody, because there are people that haven't got friends to talk to. They're not on Facebook. I'm talking about, I phoned my 90-year-old godmother up a couple of days ago, and it made her day, just phone someone and make them laugh, make them smile. Just call them.
God bless you guys. You know what? That's absolutely fantastic. I can't thank you enough for being so brilliant and being on this show. Do spread the word. Guys, stay safe, stay lucky and successful. We work with all of you. I love you all, and that's why I've got you on the show. But I wish you all the success in the world. Keep in touch. I will be calling you guys as well in the meantime. Take care.
Thank you, thank you, Mark. And thanks, Nicky and Lee and Glenn and all those that have been ringing through. Thank you.
David and Terry and everyone.
Hi, Mum.
Yeah.
And all the people that have been watching, please keep sharing those pages and getting it out there, because we just want to share all this wonderful fun times with everyone. Take care. See you again next week. Bye-bye for now.